The Big WECK presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chille. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chille. On this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise, I'll introduce you to some interesting people from hometown businesses with interesting stories to tell. Like the experts at Q-C Kinetix, sharing news of incredible breakthroughs with alternative therapies for pain without surgeries. We'll take you to a unique destination, the Buffalo Niagara Heritage Village, with a special ghost hunting event for those who dare. And how the Western Division Federal Credit Union can get the most out of your money with loans for a new car or more. All on this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Joe Chille. Mornings from 7 to 9 with Buffalo's classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK. Joining us on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise today is Jennifer O. from Q-C Kinetix. Jennifer, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
You've been here with us before. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to say that it's an improvement over Keith, you know, because Keith always joined us before too. Tell us, we want to talk a little bit about regenerative medicine today. Mm-hmm. And why would somebody go to Q-C Kinetix over, say, a regular doctor for regenerative medicine?
Mm-hmm. Well, we encourage people to see their regular doctor, whether it's their primary care or orthopedic surgeon, but also find out what it is that your condition is, what is the source of your pain, and then come see us because you want to get a full array of your options. Surgery or drugs, oftentimes that's the only option given in traditional healthcare, and regenerative medicine for many is a great option where you're actually healing the source of your pain versus like masking it with drugs or, surgery, which is pretty invasive.
You know, and label me chicken, but whenever I hear surgery, I want to look for another option. I mean, I understand sometimes it's a last resort, but
right.
I want other options. When you start talking about people that are coming to you for regenerative medicine, is it traditionally older people? Is it young people too? Is there a mix?
It's a mix. You can be 18 to, 85, really. Our median age patient is about 62 years of age, so that will help you to understand, because usually by the time you are in your 50s, you are starting to feel some aches and pains due to wear and tear, or just a sports injury or multiple injuries from the past that kind of accumulate in your joints. So yeah, we've treated college-age athletes who want to stay competitive in their sport and keep their scholarship, all the way to young moms and dads who who for whatever reason is having lower back pain or knee pain, oftentimes due to injuries from the past. And then as we all age, we all get osteoarthritis. So that would be the majority of our patients. But yeah, definitely patients of all ages.
So if someone were to come up to you and say, I'm dealing with such and such, and I guess I'm just going to have to live with it, your answer would be?
Why would you want to live with it? Because really every day is a gift, and your quality of life is really the whole difference between living or just, existing.
Right?
Right. Yeah. So I would say, what's your true motivation? What do you want your life to be? And wouldn't you want to pursue the best quality of life? That's what we're offering here.
What about some success stories? recent success? Can you?
Oh, yes. So I have just had a patient in this morning. He was on his last treatment, 69-year-old, big auto mechanic business. He's working, huge staff. And, you know, when you're working with your body and your hands, you get a lot of wear and tear. He treated his hips, he treated his shoulder, and after the first injection, his staff told him, "You're walking differently." And he's like, "No way." And his staff noticed after his first injection that his whole gait changed because he was relieved from some of the pain. And it was his last injection. He said he's so thrilled. It was the best thing he ever did.
And he's 69.
And he's 69 with a lot of wear and tear.
Do people, do you think, come to you sometimes as a last resort?
I would say the majority come to us as a last resort, unfortunately. Hopefully with more and more education, people will want to intervene sooner, because the sooner you intervene, the greater your chance of getting, you know, complete regeneration, complete healing sooner and at a much affordable price.
What would you say is the most common question people ask, maybe during a consult that they have with you?
Why isn't this covered by insurance?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah. Why, you know, if it's so good, why doesn't insurance cover it? And I would say that insurance and the healthcare system is a profit-driven healthcare system. So usually intervention is not as profitable as invasive treatments. Invasive means more expensive, which means, you know, more revenue for them. So unfortunately, there's a lot of different interests that govern, including insurance and what they're willing to cover. But we are starting to see some PRP being covered as a reimbursement for some insurance policy holders.
So if somebody's watching today and they say, you know, I have something, pain, regular pain, chronic pain, whatever, what's the first step? We have about a minute left.
Sure. Call the number, find out if your pain area is something that might be something that we can treat, and schedule a consultation. It's free. You get a complete medical exam in relationship to pain areas. And then you'll find out if you're a great candidate. If so, custom protocol is developed for you, and because everybody's pain story and pain area is different.
Jennifer O. from Q-C Kinetix, thank you very much. We appreciate it. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Q-C Kinetix by calling 716-222-9595 or go to qckinetix.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Q-C Kinetix. Start your weekday mornings with me, 7 to 9 a.m., and Buffalo's classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK. Hi, I'm Joe Chille, mornings from 7 to 9, with Buffalo's classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK. Joining us on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise today is Dr. Carrie Stiver, the Executive Director from Buffalo Niagara Heritage Village. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you here today. And as we get into the program, I know you like to refer to this as BNHV. Is that the series of letters? So when we refer to it that way, this is, well, first off, Buffalo Niagara Heritage Village is a whole thing on its own. We've talked about this before, but now with this season coming up, we're looking at a whole new, I don't know if you want to say genre. We're looking at a spooky, kind of scary Halloween season. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we are getting into spooky season at BNHV, and it's something that we have been kind of leaning into for a while. We have a trick-or-treat event that we have actually been doing for over 4 decades. We've never missed a year, but in the past few years we've kind of expanded our spooky season programming, and we do a lot of really fun sort of festive programs, including our haunted village tours and our ghost hunts, which are very, very popular.
Now, are you an aficionado of ghosts?
I would call myself more of a hobbyist, an enthusiast. It's something that I do have an interest in, but I would not call myself an expert by any means.
All right. So, have you experienced otherworldly happenings?
I have personally, and many of the members of our team at BNHV have stories from the museum and from sites in the historic village. And you know, I'm always the first to try to kind of rationalize experiences, but there have been a couple that I haven't quite been able to explain yet.
Now, we're going to talk about News and Brews too. Now, these weren't things that people saw after News and Brews. No,
no, none of them are from that time frame.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So, spooky season is just during the month of October. Is it something that you focus on, or people can ask about during the course of the year as well? But
so we're actually starting the ghost hunts and the haunted village tours in mid-September. So the first one is on September 18th, and then the first ghost hunt is on the 19th, and then we go from there throughout the end of October. So it used to be just October, but we've had to keep adding additional dates for these programs because they keep selling out. So just more fun for everybody.
you know, it's interesting because people will say, and not that they protest necessarily, but the question is, when do we start putting up our autumn decorations? When do we put up Halloween decorations? You know, is Halloween and Christmas battling in October, or whatever the case may be? But this is kind of interesting. So what about the return of News and Brews? You know, it's kind of a trivia type thing that you do, right?
News and Brews is a trivia game, but we like to say it's not your normal trivia, it's trivia with a twist. So if you are a trivia buff and you like to go to the bar and sit and have a drink and you kind of answer a series of questions over the course of a couple rounds, that is not News and Brews. What we do is, as a history museum, we have a topic, a theme every month, and we really create a story where we take you through the history of that theme, and throughout the story, that's where the trivia questions come in.
Okay.
And so we're really testing your knowledge of the theme and if you're kind of paying attention to the story. So it's really different in terms of a trivia game, but if you like a regular trivia night, you are going to love this and you're not going to get it anywhere else.
All right, tell us again about the Haunted Village tours, the ghost tours. What's the difference? What can guests kind of expect? Is it really frightening, or is it just kind of muted?
So it's not super frightening in terms of the stories that we tell. You know, they're creepy, they're spooky, but you know, we're not out to kind of upset you or make you feel super scared. It's fun, and you're gonna learn some of the history as well, because when we're talking about these stories, oftentimes they're related to maybe folks who used to be affiliated with these historic buildings. So the ghost hunts are a little bit different. The tour is obviously just a tour. You're going to hear these stories and some history. In the ghost hunts, you actually get to go into the buildings with your group of people that you brought by yourselves with a set of ghost hunting equipment, and you get to have a really special experience on your own.
A set of ghost hunting equipment?
Yep, we provide the equipment for you.
Like
you can also bring your own.
Not like Ghostbusters.
Well, we're not trying to sort of catch the ghosts. We're just trying to speak to them. So it's a little bit of a different equipment kit.
People are going to look at me weird if they say I talk to ghosts. But anyway, tell us about the trick-or-treat event.
So the trick-or-treat event, as I mentioned, is something we've been doing at the museum for decades.
Right.
So we have our first night is our drive-through trick-or-treat. It's something that we started doing during the pandemic, and we just kind of kept doing it because we learned that it is sometimes an accessible option for folks, and a lot of folks just really enjoyed it. So that is the 16th, that is the drive-through night. And then on Friday and Saturday, the 17th and the 18th, is our traditional trick-or-treat. You're gonna walk around the village and get candy, and we have a couple of other activities going on. So it's just a really fun evening for anyone who loves a trick-or-treat.
Well, that's great. Dr. Starvis, I really appreciate it. Had to end it with a laugh. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Buffalo Niagara Heritage Village by calling 716-689-1440 or go to bnhv.org. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Buffalo Niagara Heritage Village, and you can join me weekday morning 7 to 9 a.m. with Buffalo's classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK. Hi, I'm Joe Chille, mornings from 7 to 9 with Buffalo's classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK. Joining us on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise today is Denise Ligamari from Western Division Federal Credit Union. So nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
With your attire, your Western Division attire on today.
Of course I do.
That's very nice. Is there anything new that we should know about today? Anything you want to tell me about that you've been keeping a secret? No.
Well, a little bit. Yeah.
Let's start off with, what makes Western Division different than, say, a bank?
Bank. Well, the similarities I always say is that we offer the same products and services that you can get at any financial institution. Your savings, your checking, your loans, your mobile apps, everything across the board. Difference between banks and credit unions is that credit unions are not-for-profit, so usually we are able to offer better interest rates on savings, loans, lower minimum balances, and fees on accounts. In Western Division, we are one of the larger credit union cooperatives in the area, and we service everyone in Western New York. That's where we got our name, Western Division, the Western Division part of New York.
All right, now, when you think of this time of the year, I usually think of, like after August, new model years come out for cars, and things like that, right? And people are talking about, whether it's justified or not, talking about tariffs and what the effect tariffs are going to have on the cost of a car.
Right.
So, should we be talking to the folks at Western Division with regard to our car loans?
Absolutely. In fact, the fall has always been a huge time for if you're out looking to buy or even lease a vehicle, because it's end of year. So at end of year, when you're coming in, the dealerships have a lot of incentives going on. They push a lot, you see a lot more marketing out in the place, because they have the new year models coming in. The 2026s are in. In fact, they've probably been in since the end of August. But what we're seeing this year is that there is still a lot of new 2024 and 25s that are on the dealer's lots. So they're really making the push to get rid of that inventory. So you might be getting some really good deals if you're out there shopping for new right now. So they need to move that inventory to make good for the other inventory coming in. So you see a lot of incentives, and you also have the EV, electronic vehicle mandate, which ends September 30th.
Right.
So a lot of people are out there shopping right now. Dealers want to move the stock, people are out there shopping. So I always say fall time, like September, October, November, especially if you can hold off into December, that's when you're going to get the best deals, I think, out at the dealerships.
I'm going to, I just released a new vehicle, but I'm going to wait on things like Christmas presents to see if this comet is really a comet that's coming in this area, or if it's aliens that are going to take over. I'm not going to buy any Christmas gifts. What about new versus used? When you start looking at used vehicles, are you looking at a much higher interest rate?
You usually are. The average vehicle for a new purchase right now is about 9%, and we're seeing about 72 months. That's what they're looking to finance, because obviously the longer you put out the finance in, the lower your monthly payment is. And in this economic area that we're in right now, people are always looking for the least amount that they have to shell out on the payment. When you're looking for used, how I was telling you about new, now is a good time to take a look at. The used market is usually pretty steady all year long. So they don't really need to push a lot of those used between the people turning in their leases. That adds to their inventory. And the used really is driven on the KBB or the NADA. So you take a look at what the values of the cars are out there. So it means pretty consistent, except for usually they say springtime. Usually around tax time, that's where you'll see a shift in the used market, where I think they reevaluate what the book value is, and that's when a lot of people we see shopping used in the spring, new in the fall.
So if I come in and sit down and talk to you, and I say I have a lease, 3-year lease, 36,000 miles, whatever the case may be, I'm trying to decide whether I should lease another vehicle or buy this vehicle.
Or buy the
right?
vehicle, right.
Should I be talking to you before I talk to the dealer?
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of people aren't aware that they can actually finance from anywhere when they want to buy their lease. You don't have to go to the dealership and do so. Some of the things that I would take a look at the leases, I would definitely take a look at what my lease buyout is, and that's right in your contract from 2 or 3 or 4 years ago that you signed the lease. I would take a look at what the KBB or the net of value is on that car. You might have a lot of equity in that car right now that it might behoove you to keep that car. Especially if you love the car, you might as well keep it. If you don't love the car so much, then usually you can use that equity at the dealer to maybe turn it back in to purchase or release another vehicle.
Will the dealer tell you what the equity is, or is that kind of hidden? I know
They do, but I would do my homework before you go in.
Would you help me do my homework?
We will help you do your homework. We have people all the time who will send us their lease contract, and then we will take a look at what their book value is, and we'll take it from there and give our opinion, honest opinion, on what they think they should do.
I remember hearing people all the time say, you know, I leased my car, I went through my credit union. You know, it was such a better deal to go through my credit union. Heard it all the time. And I guess, you know, what's it going to hurt for people to come in and talk to you? There's no pressure there. You know, you're not, you know, demanding that they get their loan from you or whatever.
Absolutely
They say,
not.
I want to know what, you know, give me the specifics here. Then I'm going to go in and talk to the dealer, right?
To get the best deal.
Yeah.
Because if you contact us beforehand, we always tell people, give us a call, get pre-approved, or at least just give us a call and tell us what you're looking at doing. Because some people, you walk on a lot, here you're thinking in for that car and you're going to get new, and then all of a sudden you see the inventory and you're like, oh, that's a better deal, and things like that. We'll get you pre-approved. We'll get you the dollar amount, and you'll know the interest rate when you're walking out. So when you go into the dealer, you're armed with that information to make a decision and or haggle with the dealer on the interest rate. So if the dealer comes back and says, hey, I can give you 60 months at, you know, 7%, and we're like, well, you can get it at Western Division at 4%, then you already know, and you can go back and forth and get the best deal for yourself.
So they should call you and talk about becoming a member of Western Division Federal Credit Union.
Absolutely.
Very good. Denise Lugamari, thank you very much. We appreciate it. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Western Division Federal Credit Union at 716-500-LOAN or go to westerndivision.org. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Western Division Federal Credit Union. And you can join me weekday mornings 7 to 9 with Buffalo's classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigweck.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chille. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big WECK, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.